Right, myself and Adrian caught up yesterday with Stephen Kelly, my old international teammate. He popped into the studio. He's back home for a week. Let's see what he had to say. And joining us now is my former international teammate, Stephen Kelly. Stephen, you're back in Dublin. Firstly, welcome to the show. You're back in Dublin this week. What has you back from England?
Just literally got a week off. So I come back from mid-term. My little son's off school, Hugo. So we thought we'd take him back home, see the family and friends and stuff for a week. So it's nice to be home.
So you were at Rotherham for the last couple of years.
Last 2 seasons, yeah.
Relegated last year, so it was obviously disappointing. The club's gone through a lot of turmoil, a little bit back on an even keel now. But since then, you had an Achilles injury which you needed to sort out. That was probably came at a really bad time. Yeah,
it's frustrating. It came literally, I kind of made my mind up towards the end of the season I was going to leave Rotherham. Just the club wasn't in a great position, and they're doing well now, but just the way things were, it wasn't going in the right direction for me, to be honest. I probably could have stayed there last season, but going into League One I felt like maybe I'd have better options. But then literally about 2 weeks before season finished, torn Achilles, and then went into the summer just getting that right and getting it sorted. And it takes a long time. You know yourself with Achilles, it can be frustrating. And it was just kind of one of those touch and go what I wanted to do, and I thought get myself back fit. And fortunately enough, it's got all gone really well, the fitness wise, and the Achilles feels good and the strength is good. So I'm in Aston Villa. I have been for the last kind of, I suppose, 3 months training with them just to get my levels up and just make sure I still felt good enough to be able to do it at the level I want to play at.
So that's where your old manager from Bern, Steve
with
Bruce,
Steve, it's been brilliant.
Gave him a ring and said, you're obviously living in that area.
Yeah, I'm back in the Midlands and stuff, and that's where my son goes to school, so it was kind of ideal. I spoke to Steve and he was more than happy to let me come in and join in the sessions and put me through my paces, and like I said, it's been brilliant. And I suppose as it goes, the squad that they have is probably the best in the championship. So it was one of those, I knew if I went in and I wasn't going to feel good, I would almost want to not train with them, because you don't want to be feeling off the pace and behind when they've got that's such a good squad, like people like John Terry there. So since I've been there in training, it's been going well, and I felt like I could keep up and keep in tune with them. So that's kind of kept the hunger to still want to go.
So have you been training with the first team?
Yeah, a bit of both.
On their schedule,
just depending on the schedule. Yeah, obviously with them having with the championships, like 2 games every week, so some days they don't even train. It's just recovery days, especially at this stage in the season. So if it's not with them, then it's with Kev with McDonald's. He looks after 23s. Were you in Ireland with him now?
No, I missed him.
Yeah,
he's
Kev,
got a good reputation.
he was with Stan. He was a assistant manager, and he takes the sessions as well. So yeah, but most of the time it's with Colin Calderwood as well. Played with him at Tottenham. He was my coach at Tottenham. Stephen Clements played with Birmingham at Tottenham. So there's a huge connection at Villa, even though being a blue nose, I suppose.
How's that going?
Yeah, no, it's gone okay. The fans give me a little bit because it's kind of come out that I'm training there. So I've still, I've got on very well with the Birmingham fans, and I left there under quite a good atmosphere. So they give me a little bit when I see me around the area, but it's I haven't signed or anything yet, so there's not going to be anything too much.
How difficult is this year being fit though, in terms of it must be the most difficult of your career, because you're at that stage, you're 34. Do you feel like, I know when you have that injury, you're at a club, for me when I was injured, I used to have to switch a button off in my head where I wasn't a player anymore. I was at the club, I was getting treatment, and I just had to separate myself from Saturdays. That game didn't matter to me for that time I was injured. But for you, I don't even know what
it's difficult. It's one of those things. Like I said, in the summer, it was kind of like I get myself back to a level, and if I don't feel like I can continue on at a level I want to play at, then I wouldn't do it. But I suppose, like I said, with being Aston Villa and getting in there, I was like, I kind of got that hunger, got a bit of a bit between my teeth, and kind of felt, what, I'm more than capable of playing at a decent level, and I just felt like, I might as well do it as long as I can. I suppose one of the wisest things people have said to me is that you're a long time retired from football, and when it finishes, it's very hard to recreate that sort of, you probably know yourself, to recreate that ambience, the atmosphere around the changing room,
the adrenaline.
It's a big part of my life and always has been, and I suppose if I can do it for as long as I can, and if I didn't think I could, or if I was told that listen, you're way off the pace or you're not going to be, then I'd say fair enough. But I suppose the other day in training I hit almost 34 kilometres stuff, so I'm thinking to myself, I can't be that far off it if I'm doing
so
pace.
Body feels good
then. Body feels
Steve
good.
Bruce has been on record as well as saying take him. I've just got too many right backs in my squad. So, why hasn't it happened?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange one. Like, I suppose I feel like a bit of a pariah at the moment. I feel like it's just a weird one. And I suppose as far as football goes, I've always had a very good reputation as I've got on well. My manager is a good pro. Yeah, worked hard, and so it's frustrating in that sense. I don't understand why it hasn't happened yet, but I don't know, you got to keep going, and if nothing happens in the next couple of months, then I suppose I reassess and make a decision. And like I said, I've got a few fingers, a few different things, and on trying different avenues as you do to prepare for when you do actually retire. You want to have yourself set up so that you've got something that can, well, obviously nothing's going to replace it, but you want something to be able to take over for that. And obviously I'm a big family man. Like, it's been actually amazing spending time with my wife Helga, Hugo, and then I've obviously welcomed the new little girl to the world, Harlow. 4 months. She's 4 months today actually. So and that has been, with her just being born, it probably has come as an amazing time. So that's been a huge distraction. So I've been able to train and then have weekends with them, and it's just been I've not been travelling away to games or away with Ireland and stuff. So that's kind of been, as much as I've missed the football side of it, that part of it has been amazing, and to have that much time with my family has just been, at this stage in their lives when they're so young, has been so crucial. And I feel very blessed to be able to do that, but I still have that hunger to want to play. So it's kind of catch-50 thing, I suppose.
It's funny that you mentioned family. We had Andy Lee in during the week, and he announced his retirement for boxing, albeit a very different sport. Obviously, he just had a baby as well in the last year, and it was very evident, listen to him talk about that whole process, what the impact that had on him, and it almost, I mean, without putting words in his mouth, seemed to remove some of the hunger from him, almost like sort of reset the guidelines a small bit. Sounds like maybe something slightly similar with yourself.
Yeah, I suppose it's different. I suppose obviously boxing, again, you're retiring because probably you're thinking, God, my young family, I don't want to get injured or hurt, and that would be a different avenue. For me, it's more like I've really enjoyed the time in it, but I suppose there's a hunger there as well, because I'd love for, like, Hugo see me play, but he's young, so he's 4 now. When he did see me play, he's probably 3.5 too, so I'd love him to have a memory of me playing as well. So that's kind of one of those things.
I'm going, Jesus, did you do that thing?
Yeah, like, obviously he sees my jerseys and sees photos and these videos, and I've been fortunate enough, I've had a long career in the Premiership and stuff, so it's easy to get hold of those tapes and stuff. But I would kind of, for him to be able to say, that would be nice. Yeah, it'd be a nice way to do it. Like, so. Yeah.
What's it like going into Villa every Monday morning? Just at that point that you spoke about in terms of everything you train for during the week is leading up to a game, and so there's an atmosphere of either, geez, we've just won, and everybody's buzzing. What's it like going into?
It's a strange one, I suppose, because you're, like I said, you do. As a player, your whole focus is games, and you're building up towards that game in the Saturday, and that's your almost release. Like, and you taper out your training based on how the game's going to be. So days if you don't feel great, you kind of, Keith will tell you, you manage, you kind of just coast through the session and think, I've got a game Saturday, but I don't need to put in today, or you'll pull the manager. Whereas for me, the training has been the most important for me to keep fit. So I've just been literally going for it and training and putting so much effort in and covering distances and doing weights after stuff, not just because that's been the focal point for me. But it's difficult, and you can, the atmosphere around the place, at the moment, well, the last few days it's probably not been great for them, but up until a week ago,
great run, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been amazing, and you just sense, God, I want to be part of this again. You want to be involved in it, and
you're probably thinking, I hope they hit the skids here at some point soon.
You're not wishing bad on anybody.
Those 7 right backs,
that's the thing. It's
strain at the same time.
It's just a strange one. Like, I suppose even when I train with them, there's like 5 of us doing a cross session, 5 right backs out there, and you're going, Jesus, if any other club, you would think if you're training at your club, you probably would have been maybe offered some at this point because you're doing so well, but it's just one of those situations where I suppose it's not meant to be. But it's just it can be frustrating. But like I said, I'm quite motivated, and I'm quite I don't do anything in half measures really when it comes to anything. I've always been a very much passionate person and very full on when it comes to anything I do, whether it be football or my home life. I'm very much hands on. So when I'm training every day, I still want to try and be the best I can be, and I'm pushing myself.
I broke into the squad, the Ireland squad. I want to move on to international football. And one of the first memories I have was when I broke. You'd been in it for a number of years before that. I always remember the camaraderie that you had with certain other players that stemmed from the underage teams. So who would you have played with during that time that would have been in around, or players we wouldn't know?
I suppose I don't know whether. So Kevin Doyle, obviously, Glenn Whelan, Stephen Elliott may have been slightly out of at that point.
Andy Reid,
21s, John O'Shea, Liam Miller, God rest his soul. Darryl Murphy, Andy Keogh, Paul McShane. There's been
how special were those years?
I suppose for like with me and Wheelo have played together probably since we've probably played against each other, known each other from Dublin when we were 12, I'd say. And there's been a few lads like Stephen Elliott.
Age birth.
Yeah. I think it's the genes, maybe. It's the genes, isn't it? But I think, so we've been together for a long time. And then, to have those memories, like we were very lucky on their age groups. We went to 2 European Championships, both age, on the 16s and the 19s. Came fourth on the 19s, which qualified us for the World Cup on the 20s. I think we might have been the last team to go to a World Cup, possibly. I don't know. Went to the World Cup.
You're right.
Went to the World Cup. An amazing time out there. Got beat in the quarterfinals, I think. And it was just, it was unbelievable. I remember going there, actually. It was mid-season. It was in November because it was in Dubai. So they didn't want, it was like no club wanted to be leaving. Like, I was on loan at Watford in the Championship at the time, and Watford like, no, you're not going. I was like, well, I am going. You know what I mean? I'm not missing this. And all of us were so adamant. So the whole team ended up going, missing like 6 weeks of the season at our clubs. And for some of us, it was like, some lads were still playing underage football at the teams, but I was playing senior team football. And I think if I had been at Tottenham and playing first team for them, it would have been a different story. Yeah. But the fact I was on loan in a championship team, I had a little more pull. But yeah, like those memories and like I said, the camaraderie we've had all the way up through for a long time together, it definitely did help. And it, I suppose you fit into it really easy. It's just lads come into the setup and they're like yourself that have that kind of attitude and the same kind of drive and stuff and all. It's easy just to fit in with the lads, and it's like the banter behind the scenes and stuff and all. It's brilliant.
Great crack. I want to show you a photograph. I'm not sure if we can get it on screen when it comes up. What do you think of when you see this? First, do you remember where it was?
Yeah, it was in Montecatini at the presentation. Was there a singer or something? Was there?
It was like a state reception. Was it?
Yeah, a state reception.
There was a band.
Brass
band, I think. Was it?
Yeah.
A brass band? I think it was a brass band.
Adrian was there as well.
They marched up. There was a long driveway just outside that area. That
it was an impressive
hotel.
It was. It was. Montecatini was beautiful. Yeah, it was a beautiful. Yeah, boy, I just remember that was. I remember probably there we were probably thinking we've been here for a long time. Because we were there for a while.
Had the rot set in by then, do you think?
Possibly.
We should point out this was before pre-Euro 2012 training camp in Montecatini, about 40 minutes outside Florence, something like that. And that was a state reception, I think, purely for
traps. Yeah, it was literally, we were there as basically second. I don't even think they were interested in us being there. Really, it was literally for trap. I suppose him and Marco were such big names over there. Like, Marco scored. Did he win a goal in the World Cup? I mean, you just don't get bigger than that in Italy. And suppose they're such football.
He's in his element too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, my God, yeah, of course. Yeah, look at him.
And someone in the background
over his shoulder there, looking slick.
Suit looks well, to be fair.
I remember actually the that went over my head.
No pushing. I still have that.
Do you really?
I do.
I've seen a few people wear that. Like names though.
Some people, that was their best suit, wasn't it?
I remember the warm up game that you played, Montecatini. I can't remember the opposition, what they were called. But I know there was an internal name, but
the Italian waiters.
What they were called, But that was the time, the controversial stuff about Kevin Foley. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh God, yeah, that was.
And then he got binned, and Paul McShane came in. It was after that game that was his. He ended up starting that game, I think. And then Paul McShane. But the thing that stood out for me was. So there was a down day after that in terms of the media. The players weren't doing anything, so we were all trying to build some stuff together that would tide us over that day. And so I was asking players, like, what are you going to be doing with your day off? And sort of they came out. I remember talking to Paul McShane, and he was like, yeah, we're going golfing, and like it was generally we're going golfing, or And I remember you came out, and this all sort of stood with me. I don't know why, but do you know what?
Yeah, I was exactly. I was going sightseeing in Florence. Guaranteed. Yeah, no chance.
You were going down to see. You were going down to check out. You were saying. I remember the expression you used was, "Yeah, I'm big into me Renaissance art."
Yeah, I am. Yeah, well, just history in general. And you're like, if you're in a place like Florence, which is literally the birth of Renaissance. You know what I mean? Have the Medici families and like. Statue of David is there and places like that, like, and it's amazing to go and see. So actually we went down there for the day, hung out for a bit, and then I actually got a Segway, which is how I got a Segway. went around the whole of Florence in a Sega, probably unbeknown to the coaches and stuff. They probably wouldn't have let me. I was asking the lads, you want to come? And Keith had a little look around for a little bit. Keith was looking at suit shops, getting ideas. Not even joking. Me, him and Duffer went to a couple of shops, and Keith was looking at the cuts and how that they were much better in Italy, and they were much better fitting and everything. At this stage, he was knee deep into a certain project, and so that was fun. But yeah, I went around the Segway, I went everywhere. It was amazing city. I was queuing up outside. See, Dave didn't get to see the real one because the queue was huge and we had to be back at a certain time. But no, fabulous part of the world. And I'd never been to. I'd actually been to Italy for playing football before, but I'd not actually been for social reasons. So it was kind of a great opportunity, and I thought I'm not going to miss this boat. So yeah, I was
how do you, like, I'm sort of waiting whatever it is 5 or 6 years to ask you the question, but like, because it was a fleeting thing at the time, like, how do you get into Renaissance art and sort of magic? Like, it's not a typical professional sports person thing to do. It's not.
I suppose it's just history in general. I don't know what it was. Ever since I was in school, I took a huge liking to it, and I'm a bit of a history buff. Like, I just love. I think it probably comes from my dad. Actually, my dad is huge into it, and anything. Even my son now, my wife's slagging me off because I've taken the National History Museum, and we're joking. We're going to the Dead Zoo. I think probably on Friday. But he'll quote off dinosaurs and all this. So it's just everything in natural history, and I've just got a fondness for it, and it's always been there. And like I said, when I'm in places like that and I have an opportunity to go view it, I think, you can play golf anywhere in the world. You can't go to see Florence, every time if you're on a day off. So it was
but education was always big.
Yeah, big for me.
Yeah, family, and a bit of a sticking point. Going to England, you keep up your studies, and like when I came into the school, you like players would be playing PlayStation, Kels would be like, you'd be, you were always very articulate.
Yeah, no, it was always education was a big thing on a way. When I was 16 and I left, my mum and dad were very much of the sense that when I was only allowed to go if I could continue on with what I was studying in Ireland, which was never going to be the case, because leaving certain Ireland, you in 6-7 subjects, that was never going to be able to do that and play football at the same time. But at the time, it wasn't really much in place for players to do A levels and stuff like that. So I went to Tottenham, and they kind of had to set something up for me. So I remember going and being used to have 1-to-1 tuition in White Hart Lane, in a box, in a box of White Hart Lane for business studies and biology. Because I could only really take on 2 subjects. History was one I wanted to take on, but they just seemed like better options for me. And then I used to go to the College of North East London for my biology, and to say it was in not a nice area would be an understatement. So I used to walk up there with my headphones on, like, so intimidated. I like 16 years of age in London, moved over from Ireland, but yeah, so I got my A levels in both of those, and I haven't continued on since then. But yeah, it was a big part of me going that I was going to continue that, and my mum and dad made sure that was put in place by Tottenham to.
Yeah. And you're obviously thinking at that stage. I mean, I don't know if you're thinking, I don't know how long this career is going to last. You got. I suppose. I wasn't naive to the fact that I went over there and I thought everything's going to be rosy and I'm going to make it and it's going to be amazing and I'm going to play in the Premiership. You go over there not knowing what's going to happen, and I'm quite laid back when it comes to most things, and I kind of thought if it doesn't happen, then I want to have something to fall back on. And I knew at that stage 2 A levels was enough to get you into university and stuff. So that was. See, that's an incredible maturity for a 16-year-old, isn't it? Like, that's. I went to the UK at 17 to college, and I was total greenhorn, like totally out of my depth. And I certainly wasn't having deep thoughts.
I wouldn't say that's the norm either. With most players going over, it's very much tunnel vision. In terms of not even thinking about.
No, it's just football, isn't it? And especially nowadays, I think as well. Like, again, going to a club like Tottenham, like, I was so lucky. It's a huge club, and how well they do now, and that was always kind of, I suppose, a bit of a sleeping joint. They've always been there, and like the football education you get, not just education but the football education here, they teach you to play football the way they want to play, the Tottenham way almost, which is like ingrained in the club, was fantastic, because it's all about passing and moving and stuff. But they have it was just I don't know, it was always just, that was the way I was, just I suppose. It's just never. And even now, very much focused on, like, my wife is very well educated. She's got a master's degree in international business and stuff, so she's very much on that side as well. So we're we're keen to get him education. Obviously we love him to do sport. My wife played basketball for Ireland, so we're sporty and we love it to, and it drives us as well. But I think it's just a very important part of your life, and it just opens doors for you that might never open before, and gives you a platform. And I suppose just for setting you up to be able to, even things like if you want to set your own business up or you want to do anything, you need to have your wits about you to be and not get conned by people as well, and in the day-to-day world. So yeah,
I want to bring you back to 2012. Euro 2012. We had Kevin Doyle in here last week, and the both of us, I certainly said I would maybe look at Trapp in with some rose tinted glasses on, maybe in terms of the way he treated me. But I mentioned you. I mentioned Paul McShane, Andy Keogh, players like that, where you turned up for every single trip, but probably knew that game time was going to be limited. How did that feel?
That
difficult.
I suppose the Euros was an amazing tournament, but it was also, yourself, it was disappointing, very disappointing, and not to get game time out there was so hard, especially because building up to that tournament, I think I played 7 or 8 of the qualifiers. So even though I wasn't guaranteed to play, I always ended up playing either left back or right back in the tournament. So I ended up playing a lot of games. Played in the playoff final. The first game we won 4-0 out there. I played left back in that game. So going into the tournament, I felt, if things aren't going well, I'd be put in at some point, whether it be right back or left back. And the fact that I played quite a lot in the tournament, bear in mind as well that at the time I was playing every week for Fulham in the Premiership. I'd had a really good season. I was just about signing a new contract there, and not everybody was playing at that level as well, so it kind of felt like I'm in a great position here. And so it was that tournament I'll always hold in high esteem, and I feel amazing that we achieved that, and I feel like I was a big part of us getting there, and like the games in Russia and all, that stuff like that. But it was I suppose it holds a little bit of a sour, just the fact I didn't get a chance to play, and just that last game, when there wasn't.
When we were already...
Yeah, it was gone and done. And you just think that if he had had an opportunity to put in the players that had... don't get me wrong, there's players there that turned up and not played so well, but like a few of us had played quite a big part to get there. So I felt like that should have been something that... Just a little reward or something to say, here's an opportunity for you to play. But I don't know whether, if you put in the players and we did well and then it looks bad, you didn't pick them, yourself, how some managers think. But...
Would you have made that known to him at the time?
Yeah, I think at the time, I probably possibly did. Afterwards,
I did. The famous row was pre that, was it?
No, it was after that.
After that, right?
It's funny because it wasn't
that
was Germany. Yeah, it wasn't even a row. It's hard. It's funny. It was completely blown out of proportion before it happened. But like people were like, you had around the side of the pitch. It was nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that. And it was nothing to do with Giovanni either. It was more to do with just
Tardelli.
Yeah, just how I spoken to it, and that was, I don't really want to dwell on it too much really, but yeah, that was it. And the fact that I had, I suppose when someone questions your commitment to a cause that has been pretty much like, in Ireland we've achieved some great things, but playing for my country has been by far the highlight of my playing career, by far. Nothing tops putting on the green shirt, like just the nerves that went with it, everything. Like my first game, I was so nervous playing because I knew how much it meant to me. Like, my God, I like literally spent my whole life wanting to play for Ireland, and then here I was getting an opportunity to play again, Trapattoni, I have to thank him. He gave me the armband for a game, let me lead out my country against Uruguay, which is the most amazing thing I've ever been able to achieve. Like, don't get me wrong, we've not won World Cups, or we've not won European Championships, or we've not done amazing in tournaments, but getting to represent your country, I think a lot of people take that for granted, and for me, I never did. I absolutely loved it, and I would still turn up if if I had an opportunity, because I just feel like those times you don't get back. And I think people do take it a little bit for granted when they're put on the green, and I always came above club for me, probably to my detriment sometimes, because I'd come away with Ireland and probably have little knocks and end up playing games I probably shouldn't have played in, and just once because I was playing and going back to my club injured and missed a couple of weeks, and that happened on a couple of occasions. But it's, and the not playing at club level, but I don't think I'd change it for the world, because playing for Ireland again, it's just there's something so special about it, and I think it's more so even for Ireland. I don't think other countries, don't get me wrong, there are countries that are extremely passionate for playing for their countries, but I don't know, when you're Irish and you're an Irish person, you've grown up in Dublin and you've watched games throughout your whole life and had people like Paul McGrath who were your idol. Like, it's just an absolute privilege and a pleasure, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to do it.
Only go as far as you want to, because I'm sensing some sort of reluctance, and that's totally legit. But like everybody who spoke after that said, Stephen is not the sort of, this is not his character, this is not the sort of guy he is. And it's also totally legit that you can confront a management team and say, listen, I think I should be in that team, I think I should be given a chance.
I think it was after the Germany game, like after the Euros I was so good not to play, but it was more when we came back then. I was still playing for Fulham every week in the Premiership, and at the time not everybody was playing, like I said, not everybody was playing at that level, so, and like even now not everybody plays at that level, so if you're playing the Premiership or Ireland you should be in and around it, like so I think we played Germany. I think we got an absolute hammering at home, 6-1.
There was a great quote before that game from one of the Ireland players who there was big expectations. We were only not long in the Aviva, I think, at that point. The quote was, the new stadium hasn't had a christening in terms of a big scalp and a big performance from us. I think it's time we delivered. Said Keith Andrews.
That was the quote you were going to deliver.
But we were legitimately going in and saying, listen, I'm worthy of a spot in that back four.
I think we'd lost the game 6-1, and I think I had the conversation just that, like, listen, I feel like I deserve an opportunity to play now. We've lost really badly at the hands of, don't get me wrong, fantastic footballing team, Germany, great nation, probably one of the best I've ever played against, but at home against Germany we shouldn't be beat like that. No. We shouldn't be, regardless of, at the time probably one of the best teams in the world, and they went on to win the World Cup a few years later, so they were. But I still don't think at home we should acquit ourselves in that manner.
And did they again, just be as giving as you want to be, or not at all? But like, did they respond immediately negatively to that? Like, you sort of questioning the management team?
Yeah, pretty much. And it was, like I said again, it wasn't really the manager. And it's like trying to speak to Giovanni was difficult, because
very difficult.
His English was like dreadful, not to be around the bush. It really was.
Didn't particularly like to be questioned.
Yeah, and I think I think his English possibly maybe got worse when you spoke.
It's quite convenient for him.
Yeah, quite convenient. Yeah, it's like, so sometimes, you don't understand, but
But he did.
But it did, yeah. So it was just, it was frustrating. But it wasn't Giovanni at all. It was just what was
to question your commitment.
Yeah,
that was the disappointing thing, because genuinely I've made that point, and genuinely from a player that played in those games in Euros, when I came back and the dust settled on everything, couldn't believe that the players that had been through it all weren't rewarded by getting a game at the Euros, to then wind on a few months, and obviously that little episode mustn't have sat well.
It just didn't sit well, and that was it. And like I said, I'm not I never ever traumatised or Pam or a type person that would I'm not even that argumentative to the best times, I'm very relaxed, and Keith would probably sound like I'm very pretty chilled out person, but it was just, I wasn't happy with what was said, and I was disappointed, and that was it, I suppose. And then what happened, but like I said, there was no means was it bust up on the training ground.
I
think people, everything gets blown out of proportion, but no, it wasn't that in any stretch of imagination. But it was just a frustrating time, and again, it was to be honest, at the time what was said then and there was frustrating, and then I got on with it, and I came back in the squad, and I was
there's another 7 or 8 caps under
so I came back into it, and I was fine, I was happy, I just got at it, but then it was just little things that were like, things were said in the press about it, and it was just like, questioning, and I was just like, I had to come out and make a couple of statements, I think, and all, and that stuff like that was just beyond frustrating, because again, to question my commitment to playing for Ireland when it's something that I've literally adored doing, and that's the God honest truth. Like, there's been the best things in my life were probably meeting my wife Helga to begin with. We were 17, amazing, having the children, getting married, having our children, and then playing for Ireland. That would be that's it. Family always comes first, but playing for Ireland, as it comes to achievements for myself and football wise, that is by all means the best thing that I could have done. I've been to European Cup finals with Fulham and stuff like that, but this was being beyond the best, and so to question something like that and to question my commitment was extremely frustrating. And I had to kind of dispel those, and I think I had to dispel them, but I didn't really, because anybody that knew me, even in the media, everybody knows the type of person I am, the character I am, and that I wouldn't shy away from playing for Ireland. I would never not turn up for Ireland, so I think at one point I'd gone something like 4 years without missing international, and probably only got like realistically, if we were to go on the amount of times I've been in the squad, I could probably have 110 caps, 115 caps, probably more, I'd say.
Could have been Kilban, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could have been, yeah. But it's just one of those things. I think
better gear, though, it must be pointed out.
Yeah.
Do you ever? It's like I just think the whole thing is sort of mad that you would go in, and because particularly for somebody at management team, certainly from the manager's point of view, and it sounds like as if maybe all the blame isn't at his door, that he'd be well used to those conversations. I'm sure you went in at times, and maybe not with that team, but with various
not with that
teams,
team.
knock on the door. And
that was the only manager that I played under, and I've always said, like, I was very fortunate that certain players were injured, retired at the time, and there was a gap for me there, and I took the opportunity. But I did always have sympathy for players that turned up, and I've said this time and time again, the respect I have for those players, which annoys me on the other side of that, where there's a huge clamour from the public, from the media, for players that don't want to turn up. They don't want to come, but then they're the ones making the headlines.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Get them to.
Yeah, it is. No, it's frustrating.
Yeah, but I don't see. Look, it's actually a really valid point and a good point to make. I think that people, public, and you're throwing the media in there, so let's go with that. Probably just think that, like, they look at it in a much more one-dimensional way. I think, like, they just want to see the perceived best player at any given time, like, put straight into the team. And admittedly, that's not always the right thing. Clearly.
No, absolutely not. You need the commitment. There's no point having a more talented player if he's not committed, or choosing when he's going to turn up and not going to turn up. But look, before we go, I want to ask you about life after football. You've obviously already spoke about it in terms of half thinking about the next step. You're in this kind of limbo at the moment. Got to give a little bit longer in terms of where you want to go.
Yeah, you kind of just have to, I suppose you want to have something bedded down so that when you finish, you have something to go into that you're happy with, and that can kind of keep that same level of, you're not going to get the same buzz. I mean, it's impossible, I don't think, unless you start doing another sport, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's got to keep something that keeps you focused and something you're happy to do. And for me, did my coaching badges, did them with Keith, so got my A licence and stuff, and I think Keith has gone on to do the pro.
Can you see yourself?
I don't know. That's the thing. I'm not sure. I have enjoyed it when I've done it. I haven't done it enough to really bed my teeth into, to feel like I did the badges and I really enjoyed that. And if I was looking on the road, I'd probably see myself as more a manager or a coach rather than coaching their age. I think I just feel that that's probably suits me better. But I suppose being in here in the studio yourselves, this is something that I'd probably be interested in becoming for Keith's job in a little bit.
Keep the heat on.
No, but yeah, I think stuff like this, I think would probably suit me to a degree. I don't know until you actually get into it and get a feel of it. You're not too sure how it's going to go, but I think maybe along this line might be something that'd be more suited to the type of person I am, the type of personality I have.
Is it quite scary thinking of that day when you wake up and you know you're retired?
It's scary, but then the last few months, I suppose, have given me an into, like, I know a lot of people find it very hard when they finish, but I think because literally my wife and I have been together since we were 17. We're literally best friends. We do everything together. We always have. And now to bring into that, Hugo and Harlow are our two children. I know that when I finish, that will be more than enough for me. And I wouldn't need anything else. I love playing football, and if it was taken away from me tomorrow, I'd feel like I've achieved it. But I do feel like I still want to play because I know I'm long time retired. But if I didn't and I wasn't able to, I know that that's more than enough for me to be and I'd have the support of them, and that I could be around them all the time, and just love being around them. It's an amazing thing to have. Like I said, to have your soulmate, and like like I said, I am absolutely blessed that we've been together for so long, and we've been through everything together. Like, she's seen me make my debut and everything, so it's and like that. And on top of that, my family and her family, we're all very close. And we have a lovely unit, so it's I know that transition won't be difficult in that sense. I'll miss football, of course I will. It's a huge part of my life, and it's given me a huge level of and a platform to go on from. At this age, 34 years of age, and you're of we're properties and stuff like that. You've got a great kind of stepping stone to go on from. But if it finishes and it stops, then I know that I'll be happy, man.
Kel, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks very much.
I was Stephen Kelly yesterday afternoon. He's an impressive fella, isn't he?
Oh, Jesus.
You had a little bit of a crush on him.
Absolute, don't mind him at all. Total man crush. But he's that full package, isn't he, really? Like, he's a lovely fella, handsome man, like
family
married sort of to the love of his life, the soulmate. I was joking with my wife last night about the soulmate stuff.
That conversation came up in theatre, did it, last night?
It did. We were down at Sive. Just the full, and like the way he was talking there at the end, like I've sort of wrung everything I can out of football. If I get a bit more, that'd be great, and if I don't get it, that'll be absolutely fine too. That was kind of nice.
You got 39 caps. I want to emphasise this point because I go on about it. Is devotional. I reckon he was probably in about 60 or 70 squads. So if you think about that time away from his family, and he is family orientated, not the sacrifices, because that's not quite the right word, because he didn't see it as that, because he was so devoted to playing for Ireland. But again, the clamour, which annoys me for players that don't want to turn up, and you've got someone like Stephen Kelly who always turned up.
But I said it in the piece, I think that you guys think about it in a very different way than everybody else does. Like, you see the effort that goes into it, and we just see like the thing that us laymen or women will never get, the sort of opportunity to be involved. And I'd say almost that there's probably a certain number of games that you are just happy to be involved with the squad. Probably, like, I don't know what that tipping point is, 10 or 15 games where you're like, Jesus, this is just brilliant to be in the squad.
And then maybe the novelty factor wears off. The novelty factor
probably wears off, I'm sure. And how many were you involved in many squads before you started?
No, I was involved in the squad before I'd be international, then the actual squad where I was brought in, kept on, and then after that was literally straight in and then straight out at the end, the other end. So you didn't. I got 34 caps, 35 caps. That's all. They were all the squads I was in,
and all under trap.
All on the trap.
Right.
Played in every one.
Were you involved in his first?
No. First few months wasn't involved.
Right.
Started a Premier League season, joined Blackburn, came into the B International in October, maybe debut in the November against Poland.
Stan didn't fancy you?
Stan didn't fancy me, no. It's alright, I'm not bitter. Right, look, we're running out of time. I want to move on to the Carabao. I'm not a bitter man. I let things go. Slavia Jokanovic. But then Watford manager, now Fulham manager. You're not bringing that up. You're not bringing it up. We're talking
about Paul Pogba and Mourinho at the top of the show. I can't believe we didn't bring him up.
Your opportunity's gone. We can talk about that again. We are talking Carabao Cup final. Arsenal against Manchester City. Man City quadruple up in flames on Monday night with the defeat at Wigan. Now looking at the treble, if they don't win the treble, if they don't win this cup, the Premier League we think is sewn up. There's absolutely no guarantees with the level of opposition in the Champions League. I just have this feeling going into this game. Look, I fancy them strongly, but Arsenal, as they proved in the FA Cup final last year, can produce those moments. Their record against the top six this season has been disgusting, really. 6 points from 24 points. So again, Man City huge favourites, but I just feel if it doesn't go, what a week it would be if they go out of the FA Cup, they lose the final, and if they don't win the Champions League, is the Premier League, in the way they win it, is that a successful season?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because the part of the difficulty they're going to get beaten with is the fact that they had the Premier League sewn up so quickly. Ultimately, like, people have already banked that away. It's been done for the last few months, and people are just accepting of the fact that City have won it. That's part of the difficulty. Like, if they win it with an Aguero goal in the 92nd minute of the last game of the season, it's like, what a genius this manager is, and this team are. Whereas if they've wrapped it up too early, it's like it's got a ribbon on it, it's sitting under the tree, and everyone just accepts that that's there. I think they will win the Carabao Cup final, by the way. I think that's nice bit of branding there. I think they have the capability of winning that. I think they will win it. I think that you're right about Arsenal can get themselves up at times to cause a bit of an upset, but like, when you look across even the Arsenal team, the one advantage they have obviously is they can rest a bunch of players for the Europa League tonight, so it's not really an impact. But like, Lacazette is out injured, although they can rest because of the result last week. The 3-0. And they're quite fortunate because they were flattered to deceive last week in that game versus Arsenal. But you're right, the ability to rest players will be like, Welbeck seems like he's coming back in, and he's
needs game time.
This guy's 27. Like, what has happened to his career? It will be one question that you'd have to ask. I mean, the majority of us been sent at the treatment table, obviously, but I mean, it's kind of all in on this guy now. Like, I mean, as I said, Lacazette is injured. They've got rid of Giroud. So I don't know. There's all sort of eggs in that basket almost for the next while, and they're already talking about, he's got 12 months left on his current contract. They're already talking about giving him a new deal. Like, why are they giving this guy a new deal? He's played for 4 years at Arsenal. He's played 60 games in total. Like, that's nothing. He scored.
I'm just scared, obviously, with what happened with Mesut Ozil and Sanchez, the fact that if he does hit that little purple patch and everybody jumps on it, whoa, and then next of all he's in a strong position with the contract running
I would
down.
suggest if Welbeck hits a purple patch, get him out the door as quick as you can. Honestly, cut your losses, Wenger, and get him done. But anyway, City.
You're spending too much time around people like Joe Malloy. It's very, very harsh. But listen, it was nice having you in.
Enjoyed that.
Again, nice to make your way down from the top offices,
Anytime.
the suites up above.
I'm open to that invite.
So you're available again in about 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Whenever you're scraping the barrel again,
12 weeks.
I'll be available. Yeah.
Brilliant. Listen, thanks very much for joining us. Every Thursday we're back here at 12:30 live on all our platforms. Take it easy.